Welcome to Projects for All. My name is Mike, and today we got our favorite little table saw back in the shop. The reason we're doing this is because in the original video there was some things that we just didn't get to. That video was 30 minutes long, and we didn't check to see how flat the table was. We didn't actually adjust the blade in relation to the miter slot. We didn't run a giant fat dado through it, which is becoming the norm around here, and I think it's entertaining, so we're gonna do that. And we didn't sound check it. We have better stuff to test it with now. This will be the companion video to that one for just a little more detail. Come on in here, let's get this thing out of the box. If I find something quality control-wise or any issues with this new one, I'll let you guys know. Otherwise, we're just gonna breeze through all that stuff and let's get on it. Before we get started, real quick, if you didn't already know, I collaborated with Skil to give away one of these little table saws. You could win one of these sent directly from Skil to you. Follow the link up here, go over to that video, put the word SAW, S-A-W, in the description and be entered. The giveaway ends September 16th at noon, 2023. Don't miss out. You ever get that deja vu feeling? Oh yeah, looks like a table saw. If you're new to the channel, I've showed these things before, but this is what I use to measure table saws. Woodpecker's saw gauge and this master plate calibrated table saw alignment plate. I'm really happy with both of these things. Honestly, they were about $100 a piece, so $200 to get results that I trust and I feel like I can tell you guys is trustworthy. So I have my master plate installed in the saw. We had to go the short way. This is 6 inches right here. We can't do the 10-inch the way we'd like to do it because the riving knife and the housing is just too small. This is not a big table saw. So we have our saw gauge set at 0. We'll push it over. And over the course of 6 inches, we are off by 6 thousandths right here. The back of the blade has to go in this direction. You can see if I press on it, we get a little bit of flex in the whole assembly. And we can make it 0 just by pushing on it with one finger. So let's see how easy it is to adjust that knob and straighten that puppy out. It's a little tough to get an angle in here. Right here you have the wing nut to loosen this, so you can adjust this knob right here. On the back of the saw housing, here are the instructions. Loosen the wing nut, lefty-loosey. To move the back of your blade, it's a little tough to see, but here's your riving knife, so you're looking at your blade from the back. To adjust this direction, which is the direction we need to go for this saw, looks like clockwise. So we'll loosen the wing nut, turn the knob clockwise, and let's see what happens. There we go. Wing nut loose. Adjusting knob clockwise, which is this direction. Let's go a quarter turn and see what happens. About a quarter turn. And obviously the wrong direction. So trial and error. Somehow, looking at it, I screwed that up. We're still at 0 on the front side. But the back side, we are now going the other way. So quarter turn is probably too much. We'll turn it back a quarter turn to its original position about. Let's see what happens. Now, after a minute of screwing around with this, I think I have it figured out. We have it set at 0. We'll pull it over. After some fooling around, we're about 8 thousandths off. I'm gonna leave it there, loosen the wing nut, and turn the knob until we're at 0. I'll tighten the wing nut just slightly. Make sure we stay on 0. All right, so 0. Now let's push it over. And look at that. We're off by about 1,000. So the easiest way to do this, find your 0 on the front side, pull this back, hopefully staying on the plate, find how far you're off, adjust the knob to 0, and then pull it back to make sure you're still close enough to 0 to be happy. 1/1000th over 6 inches, adjusted in just a minute. I can totally live with that. For fun, let's try and get that 1/1000th out of there. Let's see what happens. Bring it back. All right, we're off by 1.5, almost 2. Loosen the wing nut. Yeah, I think just loosening the wing nut's going to knock us off and tightening. So we'll bring it back to 0 again. As gently as possible, I'm going to tighten that wing nut, trying to keep it at 0. Oh man, it's so hard to do. All right, 0. Pushing it back. Less than 1/1000. 2 tries within 1/1000. Less than 1/1000th accuracy in just a minute or 2. The adjustment on this saw is even better than I thought it would be. I have the blade reinstalled. Let's see how we did in the real world. The reason I bought this stuff is because I used to do this with the blade, and I just don't trust the blades themselves to be straight enough, even out of the box, to get a real calibration that I can show you guys. We got our gauge at 0. I'm going to use the same part of the blade. I'm going to rotate it over. Straight as an arrow. As close to perfect as I think I'll ever get a table saw, and I was able to adjust this saw in like 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and it's the first time I've ever done it. You can't beat that, man. Beautiful. So I've been setting this saw up because this is my saw and I'm going to use it for comparison videos or whatever we need. So I've just been going through the entire saw as I go, and both fence positions to the right needed adjustment. Some adjustment, not a ton. However, I did come across this. 0 on this side. 0 on this side. 1/10,000th off in the middle. So we got a little bit of bow in the aluminum stock that makes up this fence. Kind of disappointing, but it is what it is. So how flat is the table? You know, I was pre-checking this just so we could shoot this smoothly, and I think this feeler gauge came with the original set of tools my mom bought me when I was 15 years old, right before I got my first job. Hard to believe this thing's still going strong. 4/1000th right there. And I'm going to tell you, this is flatter and straighter than I expected it to be. Let's keep in mind that this is a cheap little job site saw. You got a dip on this side here. There is usually a dip on the right side right there. And then we get low along the blade, which is also a common place. So we get low there. But otherwise, 4,000. A little dip along this edge here. Try not to push my straight edge off the table. After the blade is totally straight, to 4. Here, this dip, there's 10. So it is not 10,000. That's 10,000, 8,000 right there. 10 will not fit. So at its worst, right around the blade here, 8 to 10,000ths dip, 4,000ths along the edge here. That's not bad. Otherwise, pretty flat, man. Right across the front of this thing, 4,000ths. Let's go 3 and see what happens. There's 3. Yeah, so 3's asking too much from this little job site saw. We get in there a few spots here on 3. On the outsides, we're 3. Let's go back to 4. Try not to mess up my 30-year-old feeler gauge. So here's 4. We get in there a little. On the edges, 4 30 seconds. So 4/1000ths in a couple little spots along the edges, and then 8 to 10/1000ths dip right in here. That's it. It's exactly what I expected a little job site table saw to be. You guys tell me in the comments, is this bad? Is this good? Were you guys expecting better than this? Because honestly, I really wasn't. I don't expect these little job site saws, especially the inexpensive ones, to be crazy flat. All right, so about 32 inches from the front of the blade to the microphone to test. First ever turn on and sound test. Man, is that loud. For sure the loudest one we've ever tested. Exactly what I expected, because this sounds like the loudest one we've ever done. And for sure it is at 97 decibels. Hearing protection 100% needed. So here we go. 5/8 Dado stack. There's the regular nut and washer that came with the saw. Here's the slim one that comes with the Dado insert. Big difference. You get a 5/8 Dado, which is the 2 outer blades and 3 chippers. Dado plate, obviously, and the part number for that, STA6307. Notice anything interesting about this Dado plate here? Yeah, it's just a regular plate. They put a little black tab in the mold for the latch to cover this part of the slot, and they literally just hogged out a regular insert. Added a couple stickers to warn you not to use a regular blade with this, but they are exactly the same thing. I feel like if we're gonna keep doing this, it needs to be said. There's no practical reason to run a Dado 1.5 inches deep, especially at the full width that the saw will allow, because if I was gonna do this in real life, I'd probably make like 3 passes, 4 passes to achieve this. That being said, be smart if you're gonna do this. You obviously wouldn't want to overwork your saw either, because you, the person who paid good money for this thing, want it to last as long as possible. So don't do this stupid stuff. I do this because I bought this saw to break it, or to see if it breaks. I also don't think I said in the other video, 8-inch Dado only, and probably because this is the riving knife's lowest position, so no 6-inch Dado set with this per the instructions. Safety glasses and hearing protection, the Harbor Freight Guide, and our outfeed table. Let's fire it up and see what it can do. Well, there you go. Wet as can be, this wood is heavy, like crazy heavy. It's a couple days old from the old HD, and it's wet as you can get. Effortlessly, it went through that, in my opinion. It had no trouble doing that. Table's within about 10 thou. The fence, unfortunately, is within about 10 thou. The adjustment for the blade, it couldn't have been any easier. I mean, it was like ridiculous. That entire scene to shoot took me about 5 minutes, which is, for me, like no time at all. So, what do you guys think? What did we miss? I know I missed something. I always miss something. You guys tell me in the comments. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit like on this video. If you would, hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.